you into drugs wise? I know. It's got the drug section.
So, obviously, on the way to a rave, it was speed,
right?
paste.
What's paste? Is that just
so?
Speed?
It's like
See, I was the anti-drugs when I was younger.
So it was like a stronger. It's an amphetamine, but it was like a really, really, really strong speed. There was one called Brain as well.
Right. So what was speed like a level below like cocaine and shit?
Speed's fucking.
Or was it?
No, speed's mental, man. You get coke would give you a wee bit of bravado and a wee bit of make you feel good, but I loved speed, man.
So what was the difference between speed and
you were
cocaine?
fucking rushing at your nut. Like you were proper fucking zooming. Like everything felt.
So speed just cocaine just gives you confidence.
I would say
speed's more of a fucking yes.
Speed will keep you up all night.
Aye.
You like clean everybody's fucking house in your clothes if you wanted to.
Brilliant.
Right.
My
Like,
house is a mess.
Aye.
My flat's needing a good clean. Maybe get
so
some
it was
speed.
like speed, coke, eckies, and all the psychedelics.
All right.
Do you know what I mean? So
would you take psychedelics while you were on stage?
no.
Was that usually
even
after
though I
the-
have done it, but
Aye.
no, that was like
Is that later on?
that was
you're
like
chilling
when you're
out?
back, like maybe on the bus on the way home or at an after party.
Aye.
Even though I have done it in raves, but it's weird. Like
Is it
taking
so-
acid or something in a rave, man.
So what's that like? To explain what it, like, because that's something like now I've been I'm older than you, cunts, right? And I've never done anything like that. But now I'm kind of going maybe because I don't. Psychedelics have got like a. Well, when I was going to, all drugs had a bad name.
Aye.
But then you realise there's only categories.
Aye.
So like things like cocaine and like heroin are really bad.
Yeah.
But then alcohol is probably worse than a lot of things.
Aye.
Like psychedelics, you look, there's a scale, and usually psychedelics are down the bottom, which are a lot less harmful than alcohol
Aye.
in the long term.
Oh, aye.
So now I'm kind of going, maybe someday I'll give them a shot.
So have you tried any?
He jumped in at the deep end, didn't you?
I did. Well, it was ayahuasca I done last year, but that was at a retreat.
Right.
But we're going to do that in another episode.
Right, all right.
That'll be the silent one. We'll just be going, let's think about ayahuasca. But I've never done acid or anything.
Right.
But maybe someday.
See, first time I took acid was I was 16. I was working at the time.
Aye.
As soon as I left school, I had a job. And
What were you doing? What was your first job?
so I worked in a factory. I worked in a Menzies distribution.
All right.
So it was like a paper factory.
What was that? East Kilbride direction?
No, it was Cambus
Cambus
Lang. Bought my Cambus Lang
Aye.
in between Tollcross and Cambus Lang.
Aye.
I done that for 10 years. But it was my mum and dad. I had like no long started working. My mum and dad and brother were going on holiday
Aye.
and I couldn't get the time off. So I had a fucking 2 weeks to myself. An empty, mate. So I was just...
What am I going to do?
Aye. So I
Once you ran out of bog roll, you go, what else can I try?
floating about in the back of my head for years, I always knew what kind of acid was and I'd heard stories and I always wanted to try it. I had a mad feeling that, I don't know how to explain it, but I always had this feeling like there's somewhere else you could go.
Aye.
If you know what I mean.
Like
Like,
Cumbernauld or something.
You've made it.
I feel like I'm in holiday
There's
today up here.
somewhere outside Campus Lang. I know what you mean, aye.
In my mind-
There's a different reality.
Aye,
there,
different realities and all that shit. And I always heard people talking about it, so I always wanted to try it. But at this point, acid had died away. It was only stories. It wasn't on the streets. Like nobody was,
Alright.
nobody was like speaking about it
So
or
this
taking
is you were talking about 20 years ago.
it.
So you're, so you were 16.
Aye. And I worked with a lot of older guys, and I always loved fucking hearing stories.
Aye.
They're because I ended up working with these guys who were ravers like 5-10 years before me,
Aye.
and they were telling me stories about all the raves that I fucking fantasised about going to.
Aye.
And I always used to ask them like, "Oh, fucking, like, what happened? Like, what did you take?" Or I loved all that shit.
Aye.
So I always had that in the back of my mind, and I ended up putting it to a few people: if you can get acid, if you can get a hold of it, I want it.
I want that.
And it
I've
was
heard of those Mikey acid.
no, not anymore.
Not anymore, he's off it.
But it was my pal. It just all happened. It just all worked out. Like my pal had come in for me and he's like, I can get acid. And I was like, go and get it and we'll fucking take it.
Oh, you and your mate done it? You were 16?
I think he was 17.
Aye.
or he might have been, no, I think he might have been 18. He was a couple of years older than me. He went away and got it and come back and all right, let's do it. And it was just the first. It was
just a wee tab you got, was it?
Aye, it was like a wee. What was on the picture of that one again? I think it was Incy Wincy's they were called.
A wee spider.
It was a wee kind of. It was like a wee spider thing. It was.
I had a mate who had a petty spider once.
Did you? Aye. Aye.
See, if you watch the rest of that.
So I
only had it one day. Right?
I mean, I felt like it took ages to kick in because we were like, fuck, right, what's going to happen? I've been anticipating it for a long time.
So you're a bit scared.
Wee bit scared, wee bit nervous, and the two were like, what's happening? Nothing's really happening, is it? Well, nothing's happening. And then when it hits you, it just hits you like a fucking ton of bricks, man. The first thing I noticed was I was trying to make myself trip at this point. I went into the toilet and
You're going,
no, the toilet light, the light was off, and but the hall light was on, so there was a bit of light shining in, and I was doing a pee, and I was looking down at the pan, and the pan just started like waving in and out, and I was like,
yes,
I don't want to incriminate anybody here, so I'll just say, mate, right. I was like, come here and see this, and he came through.
No, you were at the toilet with your knob out.
Come here and see this. You want to see this in here?
Let's see this waving about. You were 16, he was 18. Right.
So he came in, I was trying to show him, and then the twos looked in the mirror, and by this point, he had a bit of a kind of a growthy beard on him, and had specs. And when I looked in the mirror, his specs were growing and his beard was getting bigger. I'm like, oh, here we go. So the two of us went into the living room and we were just looking at shit. And my mum and dad had this kind of Artex stuff on the ceiling.
Oh,
it was
like,
Artex
back
do you know,
in
it was like it looked like fans on the ceiling.
Aye.
So I was looking up at that and they were just all waving about, and it was like all the kind of shadows were like it was like purple stuff, like pouring into them. And I was looking at the flare. I didn't have any socks on, and then my feet just melted into the laminate flare.
I hate when that happens.
Fucking hate when that happens, man.
I can't go tonight. My feet melted into the flare again. Can't come to that gig tonight. My feet are in the flare.
And then I went into my room, but I was getting a bit much, man. It was a bit intense. And I'm going to go and fucking sit myself for a bit, because nothing starts to make sense. They're like, who is he?
Who's that guy?
Do I even know him?
Like, guy in my house?
And then you're thinking thoughts, and I'm thinking, am I saying that? Is this coming out of my mouth? And then you lose, time doesn't make sense anymore. Time starts like going backwards, and 1 minute can feel like fucking 2 hours. So I ended up getting into my room, and the way my room was at the time, it was my brother's room that I had moved into, and he was a big Celtic fan, so his full room, one side it was like tricolours,
right,
and then one side of the wall was like Celtic tartan, and it was fucking mental. The Celtic tartan was just coming right out the wall. I had this white mask, see, like you see the kind of white, just like a white plain white mask thing. That was like fucking coming out, and it was like doing like these mad faces. And the wall.
What was his face doing?
There's a clip for TikTok.
That's a clip for TikTok. Mikey, do that. There we go.
Right, and the wallpaper.
Get some. What's the word? Beatboxing going on.
The wallpaper that was painted in a tricolour was it was like this like kind of puffy outy wallpaper. It was like if you touched it was a wee bit spongy. That was like wee worms. Just going up the wall. And that was like the fun. I went up going to a walk. The sky was fucking mental. It was but once that had happened, I was like, fuck, right, this is something. But all my pals were all doing it, and we would just have like parties, and we would people's houses with eckies, acid and that, and then it was like, obviously mushrooms, mushies.
So what's the difference between mushrooms and acid then?
So if you take acid, obviously mushrooms are natural, right? It's like psilocybin. Acid is like...
He knows all the terms in that, Chris.
Acid is like it's like man-made. So it's like kind of copying the
What's the chemical again? I know it's
LSD.
But what's a big long one?
Hydrocide acid or something it's called.
Something like that.
So basically, if you take acid's going to last a bit. It can last for hours, right? It can last up to fucking 10, 11, 12 hours.
Aye.
And it's
a full shift at work.
A full shift. Aye, 2 fucking shifts.
Imagine doing we worked in just together. I did a full shift in there on acid. Jesus.
So mushrooms is like it'll last you 4 hours.
All right, so
and it's clean, and it's like the more you take, then the you know the more intense and mad the trip's going to be.
Aye.
But acid pure lingers. And then 1 minute you think, oh, that's away, thank fuck, and you turn round, your pal's face is a frog or something, and it's no away at all. But I loved it.
Like now people say they have psychedelics that changes them in some way. Do you think you had any
100% changed me?
Did you think it changed to, like, your whole life in a
I
way?
would say definitely, because see at the start you were just taking it because you had heard stories from older people and it was cool and it was mad, and
you just wanted a laugh.
You wanted a laugh and you wanted to hallucinate. You wanted to see stuff that wasn't there. You wanted a story. So that's what it was at the start. But as I got older and I actually started kind of like reading stuff about it, and reading wee books and watching videos and documentaries, then I realised, right, this is something that can actually help you. And then after that, I think like me and my pal, I've got a kind of group of mates that were basically psychonauts, right? Like psychedelic astronauts.
Actually, was the word psychonaut used back in the day? But that seems to be a new word.
It's kind of...
Psychonaut was like...
I don't think it was used back in the day. But it's a term that does get used now. And like the kind of group of pals, we were on to like that kind of shit. And we'd take like a lot of ketamine as well. That's a psychedelic. But it's a fucking completely different...
because you don't get to hallucinate with that, do you?
You can, you do.
Oh, really? Does that just take you into a void or something like that?
It does a lot of mad shit, mate. And it's always unpredictable, and you always underestimate it. But so like we were on a kind of wee journey, but then me and my pal started doing a lot of it together. And at this point, then we were trying to like figure shit out. And then
what life is all about.
What it's all about, and
I know all now.
Going in with an intention, like I need to work, like things you're confused about or something. Like you want answers, then it's good for stuff like that. 100%. And I would say that doing mushrooms and DMT a lot were part of the helped me become sober.
All right.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
so that's what I hear a lot about psychedelics, because I remember growing up and you get these people come into school, they tell you all drugs are bad, drugs are bad, and then you grow up, you learn a wee bit and go, well, they kind of are. Some of them are. Because there's a lot of heroin addicts and stuff like that have done like DMT and ayahuasca and shit, and it cures them. So what about DMT? So you were talking about that, Chris,
I first heard about that. I first heard about DMT and a rave queue.
A rave queue?
In a queue, in a rave. And this is about 11 or 12 years ago.
Right.
And somebody was talking about this thing that I'd never heard of before. Right. I thought acid... I thought it went to acid and that's it. Or mushy.
So psychedelic was like acid.
I thought that was like the top tier. So I've heard somebody, two guys talking, and my ears have went up, and I'm like, what?
So just in the queue,
eavesdropping. Aye. And then I'm like,
eavesdropping.
Tell me more. The guy said that.
I done a joke, Chris. You didn't get it. Right, sorry.
I wasn't even listening. Sorry.
Thanks.
No, basically I heard them talking, and the guy was saying that there's this stuff that you can take, and you come out your body, you basically die. It can take you to other dimensions, and it shows you stuff, and it gives you messages and all this stuff. So instantly I was like, what, tell me more? And he was like, DMT, and I was like, I've never heard of that before. I thought they were talking shite. Then I started hearing more people talk about it. So I made it my mission.
I think everybody knows about it now.
Fuck. But I found out about it In fact, I took it, I think, before fucking Joe Rogan was talking about it.
See,
Right.
it was actually Mikey that told Joe
Before
Rogan
Joe
about
Rogan
DMT.
made it cool.
And
You're a
he
DMT
tried to-
hipster.
Aye. Like, see, when I hear people talk about it now, I'm like, see it, roll your eyes.
Aye.
Like, 'cause do you know what I mean? Just, do you ever get that with things? Like, you're into a certain artist or something, you were into him ages ago, but now everybody loves him. You're like, I was into him first.
It was actually Joe Rogan done a. He was doing a podcast once. He says he was at a rave in Scotland once, and he heard a guy talking about. He heard another guy that was actually you. He was a Q.
Aye, it was
and he heard
me,
you
mate.
talking about
Aye.
DMT.
So
Aye.
I'll tell you what happened then, right? Because
So did
it's,
you
it's
smoke
quite.
it?
I've many times, right?
Okay.
In fact, I can't even tell you how many times.
Right.
It's no. I've done it twice or three times.
Right.
I've done it loads.
Right.
The
The 20.
probably more than that.
All right.
Right.
Well.
More than that.
Right.
But so I was interested in this, and then I was trying to get a bit right.
Right.
Now, we used to go to this thing every year. A group of my mates. We called it Mushy Mansion, right?
Mushy Mansion.
Mushy Mansion,
That was
right?
amazing, man.
Like a Mario Kart track.
Aye, the famous Mushy Mansion. It was a mansion that we used to hire for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the Monday. We would go big mansion every day.
She hired it for a group of pals.
Aye, it was
Like
brilliant.
before Airbnb was a thing.
Aye, well, probably, but I'm talking like I can't remember, but it was my wee lassie was only like a baby at the time, so probably about 10 years ago or
Right,
something was
aye,
maybe
aye,
the first
aye.
one. Anyway, we would go to this place and we would take loads of mushies, kit, everything.
Aye.
Everything that you need for a good party, right? All the ingredients.
They cans of tenants, but
No, I was working with a guy and he was into this kind of stuff as well, and talking about psychedelics and that, and he said, I've got DMT. But see, back then, when you said that, nobody believed you. Because it was just this mythical thing at the time.
Aye.
It's
Do
only
you know what I mean, right?
It's only Joe Rogan that's got DMT.
Right. So I was like, bring us a bit in then. And he's like, no bother. Brought us in.
So what does it actually look like?
So it's like gold yellow powder.
Right.
And it's made, by the way, for this tree in the Amazon. It's bark. Is it
Sorry.
is it Mobosa bark or something?
All
But
right, okay.
it's made with that and this other. See, I've the technical terms. This is when I'm shite, but it's made with two things, and when you mix them together and
Aye.
do whatever you do to it, you get DMT.
Right.
So he brought me in, and I wasn't sure what to do with it. So then I was on fucking YouTube. I was trying to figure out how do I smoke this.
DMT tutorial, please.
Right, right. So
Hi, this is
Hey,
your
guys.
DMT.
I ended up talking to a boy from Liverpool who's actually a fucking shaman now. And
Alright.
he does ayahuasca ceremonies.
Alright, aye.
He does the cambo.
Right, all
He
that
does.
stuff.
He's got a massive page, and he does all this stuff. He told me, he's like, look, the best way to
So
do
you
it.
just chatted to him on YouTube? Just sent him a message?
No, it was my pal. I DJ'd with him and that.
Oh, right,
right?
okay, aye,
So
aye.
I was asked. I knew he kind of knew a bit about it. So I asked him, and he's like, "Look, these are the ways you can do it. It's best to be done through like a glass pipe or something like
Right.
that, or whatever." So, but he said, "But you can do it like this as well. So because you're not supposed to directly burn it, right? It's supposed to be vaporized, or the way he told me to do it is if you're desperate to do it and you want to do it the noon, you've not got anything to do it with, do it like this. So basically roll a joint, right?
Right.
Right, was this allowed? I'm basically, is it?
Aye, aye.
Is this all right?
Aye,
I'm
of
telling
course.
people how to.
Aye, fucking
Right,
hell.
right. So
If YouTube flags it, then we'll see. But
We're fine.
we'll blame it on Joe Rogan, right?
Aye.
he
So,
talks about it enough. And
You're
he's
probably getting flagged just for mentioning Joe Rogan these
Aye.
days.
so basically, he told me to roll a joint, right,
Aye.
and sprinkle, because you only need a wee bit of this. Like a gram of
Aye.
this can last you a long fucking time,
Aye, aye.
right? So he told me to like, leave a bit, sprinkle a tiny wee bit in,
Aye.
leave another bit, sprinkle another bit in, and then leave a bit and sprinkle another bit in, so that when you're puffing it, you're smoking it that hard that the heat's smoking up and it's hitting it in the way by.
Aye.
So that's what I done. I
Right.
done that one night, and I didn't break through or anything like that, but mad kind of shit was happening.
So just got a wee bit of
I was getting, my eyes were shut, and I was smoking it, and I was seeing a lot of kind of like shapes and figures
Right.
bending about and all that kind
Aye.
of stuff. So that was my first wee taste. And then after that, I ended up saying to one of my other pals, look, if you can get any of this, keep it for me. And he phoned me one day and says, I've got DMT.
Aye.
And I was like, fuck, how am I going to get this? He stayed right at the other end of Glasgow. And my other pal phoned me and says, want to pick a bit of DMT up for me? And he's like, aye, let's do it. So me and my three pals sat one night. Now, this is mental even doing this, but we done it in a bucket, right? We done DMT in a fucking bucket. Like that's like, I thought, like, you know what a bucket is? Like basically they call it a gravity bong, right? But it's a lot of smoke. Aye. If you even do a bucket of hash or weed, it fucks you up. Aye. So that's, if you're going to ever break through on DMT,
the bucket.
this is the way you do it. So basically, we made a bucket, and it was, the living room was set out. It was like a big couch head up against the wall, and another couch in the corner. Aye. I was in the middle. My two pals at either side. Now, my pal said who's up first. I'm like, fuck it, I'll do it. So he pulled this big bucket full of smoke, and the idea is to, when you inhale it, you need to keep it for as long as you can, and then blow it out. So I took the bucket, sat on the couch, held it in for as long as I could, and when I blew it out, what happened after that is, it's like as real as me and you talking the now. So the first thing that happened is my eyes were shut, but I could still see, right? And the room just started breaking up. Like wee particles were just starting to fucking open up, right? And there was this big circle, and all I seen was this big, people call it an entity, but it was like 8 or 9 or 10 of these heads, right? And they were all heads. Like, they were all. They looked like, some of them were blue, some of them were. One of them had like an elephant's trunk, right? Is a face, is like a face. Aye. And the arms started coming out to me. Now, like I'm saying, it was like made up of a material or a fabric that is like felt and looked realer than anything else that you can see here. So all the horns started intertwining, like in a mad fashion that you couldn't even make up. Like the way they were moving in and out was so intricate. So something you can't, like, something that you can't explain with real words. Something that you would never see here. You couldn't even animate it. You couldn't animate it. You couldn't make it up because it was so, and it was moving in a mad way that just all made sense. And it was getting closer and closer and closer to me. Aye. And it touched me. And when it touched me, I just came fucking right out of my body, and I was like flying through my bloodstream. And it was like, I didn't know at the time, but looking back now, I think it is, I was being born again. It was as if I was like getting into my mom's womb and all that. Aye, fucking and I saw. We've all been there. So my his mom's womb. Sorry. Sorry. That was a your mom joke. It was like I was. I don't say it. My wee lassie was like just a baby at the time, right? And I saw her growing up. Aye. And it was all happening dead fast, and it was like this roundabout I was on. See, like, what, a wee one to get a park. Aye. And it was going fast, and as it was going fast, hundreds of these wee pictures were flying up, like as if it was time was flying. See, try to explain it. It was like so fucking like real, like, and it's just it's so hard to explain because it's fucking alien. It's just like it's just different. But anyway, that was happening. And my wee lassie was getting bigger, and her hair was growing, and her face was changing. And I had this kind of, at one point, I had this like kind of evil male. I couldn't see it, but I felt it. It was like an entity, and it was trying to show me shit from my past, and it was shouting at me, and it was dead angry. And at the left hand side, there was like this kind of woman, female spirit trying to calm me down and show me good stuff. Aye. But it was so much shit that was happening at the one time. It was 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Was it like, see, when you're saying you saw your daughter grow up? Aye. Was it like accurate? As in, like, you saw her older, and it's like how she is now?
Kinda, aye. Like, thinking back, it's like at the time she was just a wee baby. Aye. With no hair, but it was like ginger hair. My wade's got ginger hair. Aye. I didn't know I was a ginger until I had a wane. And then grew a beard. I was never ginger. Aye. Do you know what I mean? So all that kind of stuff was right. And that was the first time, and just the first time breaking through I'll never forget that, like the entities, like with it was like they were, I don't know what they mean or what they were, but once I got a taste of that, I was like, I need to go back and fucking explore this a wee bit and see what it's all about. And there's hundreds of like just fucking.
But that's the one you remember the most, the first one, or is it?
Like that's the one that always, because it was so vivid and because it was the first time it happened to me. I always knew that this is going to be something, but I didn't know. Just the way it all happened and came through to me, and how real it felt. But that's what I'm trying to say. Like the materials and the objects in here, there's no word for it. I say materials because that's what everything else is.
That's like the closest word we've got for it.
And the way it moves, it's like liquid, but it's solid, and it's fucking. Honest to God,
so
man.
Is it like when you're in there, when you're in that place, it makes perfect sense.
But
then you come back out, your brain's not big enough.
So
to
your brain, when
it.
you come back, you can only try and describe it, but definitely. But see one thing, I'll tell you something. This is mad, right? And I don't know what it is, but see, every time I took it after that, it's a feeling of being home. Right? And you do that. Oh, that's right. That's right. This is where I come from. Right? But there's something that happens then. And you can't remember what it is. Something happens.
So that's sort of when you wake up for a dream, and the more you try and think about it, the more it
fades away.
So
very
you
like
go
that.
back and you learn something, that it teaches you something, or
I suppose stuff starts to make sense
in that moment, but then you can't retain it.
Aye. But it's mental. Like, I'm not telling people to go out and date or anything like that, but
you gave them a pretty good lesson on how.
I know. Sorry, man. Right,
that was like, couldn't they sell me a pen? But he's fucking sold me DMT.
No, but I'll tell you what, man. See, just to be able to experience that and know that there's something else. That's fucking mental, and it's like
it's just stuff you don't understand.
Stuff we don't understand, and we just physically can't. Fucking, we've no words for it because it is. We don't know what it is. It's alien as fuck.
But then when you're in there, it makes perfect sense.
Makes sense, but
and you see, you hear a lot of people that's like a lot of people have done it, and they see the same rough sort of things as if it's all a whole connected thing. It's not just like one.
And there's
person.
definitely a feeling that everything is all one.
We're all connected.
We're all connected. Everything's like one big consciousness.
So how is it? How do you think it's changed your outlook in life? You more chilled out in general?
I would say
nothing matters, but nothing matters, but everything matters. Is it like?
It's like
you don't get bothered with stupid wee things anymore.
No, it's like seeing that kind of stuff, right? And knowing that I definitely believe that. Like, every time I've done it, I've felt like I've died. I'm like, right, holy shit, I'm dead. Because I'm out my body, and what the fuck is all this shit? Right, so that kind of took a wee kind of feeling of dying away. Like, I know there's something.
Totally.
I know there's something. Definitely. There's another sort of place you go, but I think that I'm glad I done it all. Because there's been times as well when I was taking like DMT and mushies, and it was like kind of showing me the way I would end up if I keep
taking drugs.
If I keep doing the bad drugs and boozing and acting the way I was acting and doing all that, then I'm not going to go anywhere. And then it was like showing me, like, if you do this, then you know you're going to get on better in life.
So see, when you first done DMT, were you still taking drugs and drinking at the time? So do you reckon it was a DMT that got you off that kind of?
No, I'm not going to bullshit and say it was just that. It was a mixture of fucking a lot of things, but that was part of it. 100%.
Makes you realise shit and 80 something.
Definitely.
But that makes you kind of see things differently.
Definitely makes you put things into perspective and shows you different paths and all that.
Exactly. I've done the ayahuasca thing that I'm going to talk about some other podcast, but I've had a few wee mad things happening
after it.
No, before that.
Right.
I had a dream. I don't know if I've ever told you this dream, and I don't know if this will make any sense. And I can only describe it as like I've never done DMT or drugs or anything like that. And I had this dream, and I woke up and I went, holy fuck.
Aye.
It was like fucking hell. It was as real as fuck.
Aye. Vivid as...
And it was like, so what happened was I felt like a particle. I felt like a droplet of water.
Right.
Like, when the water evaporates, I felt like that. And this dream, right, what happened is, and when I think about it, I can remember it. And I was in a house, but it was an alien house.
Right.
And there was like a female person, but she wasn't human. And I can describe her face. It was like clothy,
right?
But between clothy and reptilian face. And I seen her, but she looked as if it was somebody I knew. Right. And I don't know if it was like somebody that I was maybe related to, or a wife. I don't know.
Aye.
I've no idea. But I seen her, and she was walking out the door. And she opened the door or something, and she kind of smiled. She did as if I was there. But she didn't see me, but as if she recognised me, as she sensed me or something. Right. And there was an old grandfather clock there as well that I seen. Aye. And then I kind of floated out this. This just sounds mad, right? Aye. And I floated out this.
So it sounds like something that would happen when you're taking them.
So and this is what a dream that stuck with me for years. I was like, fucking hell. So I floated out of this door, and there was like loads of hills and stuff. There was like hills, but then I was going up this hill. I was like, it was as if it was as if like how when water evaporates, it goes up to the clouds. Mm-hmm. As if I was a particle of water going to the clouds, and I was going up. But when I was going up, there was like big, enormous structures, and it was like kind of carnival-y stuff. Aye. Like big kind of Ferris wheels and shit.
Aye, mate, that sounds like DMT. And see, the thing is, huge shit. Everybody's got DMT in their brain anyway. Aye. So that might have even been an out-of-body experience or something you had.
And I remember getting up and I was looking about and going, holy fuck, what is this?
Because see, if you wake up for that, right, the only thing you can describe it as a dream. Aye. Right? But, it could have been an out-of-body experience because your brain can go to places like that.
But see, when I woke up, I was like for about an hour, I was like, fucking hell, what was that? Aye. But it was amazing. There was that shit. I was thinking about it for weeks. Aye. And then I think I've had about 3 dreams like that over the years, and it was just mind blowing. And I knew, and I was kind of in control of it. I was kind of lucid when I was doing it, so I was kind of going looking about this place, going, fucking hell, look at that.
Are you into lucid dreaming?
I've had a few lucid dreams over the years. Aye.
I can't do it. Like, those people that can like sort of train themselves to do it on demand. I've had a few dreams where I can like, when I'm in it, I realise
you realise you're dreaming, and you just jump up and start flying. That's the first thing everybody does.
I will fly everywhere.
Or sometimes I'll have a dream where I'm driving and I'm not sure if it's real, and then I'm like about to crash the car,
and you realise.
But just as I'm about to crash, I'm like, I hope this one's a dream. And then like sometimes if I'm really driving, I'll be like I know, but when in the dream, I'm like, this could be real. I might be about to die. Who knows?
The first lucid dream I ever had was now I'd been reading about it and watching some documentaries, right? And this is way before Inception came out and all right. Aye. So I read that the most thing people were saying is get like a wee sort of card thing, right? Like a wee bit of paper. What I got was if you buy a new t-shirt and it's got a wee tag on the back, like a wee kind of cardboard tag, and it was blank at either side, and I wrote on one side sleeping, and then on the other side awake. So I was, this is when I worked in Menzies, and I would cut a bit with that in my pocket, and every like 5 or 10 minutes I would whip it out and I would flip it back and forward. Right? And the trick is, the more you do that in your day-to-day life, then it's bound to happen. It's bound to come into your dream at some point.
Make it a habit, so you would do it.
So when you do it in your dream, it doesn't look the same, and it looks all mad and weird. And then if you can click it and do that, I'm dreaming, then that's when you know. Right. But the first time, this is mental, I know, man, but the first time I actually realised I was dreaming in a dream was at Mushy, but where you picked me up at my bit of day, right? So it's like a scheme, and just down for where you picked me up, there's this big thing now. I'm not being it's called a dyke. Right, I'm no cancelled. No, that's the correct. That's the correct term for the these things. So it's like a big wall, and it's got garages at the other side. It's quite a big drap, right?
Aye.
Anyway, in this dream, this story's going to get me. This story will get me cancelled. Right? No, in this dream, it was like I was the only person in the scheme. Everybody else was dead.
Right.
But there was a big like gang of Aboriginals.
Shit, man.
Right.
He's homophobic and racist.
No, right. This is a dream I had. But they were coming to get me. It was like there's this tribe.
Aye.
Right, that were coming to get me, and I couldn't see them, but I could feel them coming.
Aye.
And it was in the dream. I knew what they were looking like. And then, for the corner of my eye, I seen them all running. It's this fucking full-scale tribe trying to catch me. So I was trying to run that way.
Aboriginal young team.
Aye. See that way in a dream, like you're trying to run, but you're not moving.
Aye.
So that was happening to me, and I'm like, holy fuck, these cunts are going to catch me. So I got to the dike, right? And
He said it.
it's this big giant fence, and I held the fence, and they were getting closer to me, and I was looking down at the drap, and I realised in that moment, if I jump, I don't want them to catch me, but if I jump, I'll wake up. I'll wake up I'll before I hit the deck.
Aye.
So in that moment, I realised, and they were getting closer and closer, and I just jumped, and then I woke up before and I was like, whoa, fuck me, man. I actually knew that I was dreaming, and I knew if I jumped out that I would wake up. Jump, I know. And then obviously, like, it started happening a bit more often. And when the hardest thing to know day when you realise you're dreaming is fly. It's the only thing that we really can't do as humans. So that's you're just flying everywhere, and it's hard. Do you know what I mean? But I love all that shit, man. I love it.
I had the kind of most recent. Well, I don't know if I mentioned this. Sometimes I repeat things in podcasts. So I was like a few years ago, like my sister's man died, right? So it's kind of it's quite 49. So it's COVID shit, and I look after my sister's dog. You know, Mad Bella.
Aye.
Like me and Bella are best pals.
Alsatian.
Aye. No, that's the kind of it's a German Shepherd.
German Shepherd.
The Alsatian's like the N word for the
sorry.
so I mean the German Shepherd. So I was looking after this dog for a week.
Aye.
And it was maybe a few months after like my sister's man died, and so I was looking after the dog. She was going to her in-laws for a week for a holiday, and I was doing a lot of meditating at the time, right? So I was listening to like a YouTube videos and kind of sitting
guided meditations.
Aye, so I was doing a few. So I was lying on the couch when Bella gave me peace, the dog, and I was lying there, and there's one I got into for a wee while. It was quite good, and there was this one I was listening to one day, just lying on the couch, and I didn't fall asleep. It felt as if I was deep with the meditation, and then I got up because I'd heard music up the stair, right? And this was weird as fuck, right? There was like music up the stair. And I got up and I floated by the dog, and the dog kind of looked at me. So I was like, this doesn't feel quite right. I went up the stairs, and I didn't walk up the stairs. I fucking floated up the stairs.
You just went?
I just went, and I went up the stairs and into the loft. And that's where Scott used to, like, he had a man cave up there. Right. And so he used to get me and listen to music, play computer games and stuff. And so I went up there, and like he was there.
Right.
And like I've never been in these when I visit my sister, I don't go. I don't get. That's his place. That's where he used to go himself. And he's like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "What the fuck are you doing in my man cave? Like, you don't come in here." Is that what you doing?
So that's an out of body, mate. You've had.
So he's like to me, "What are you doing in here?" And I went, and I knew that it was like, "Have you know what happened?" And it was fucking vivid as fuck. I was like, "Do you know what happened? What do you mean?" It says, he passed away a few months ago, and they went, "What?" I went, "Aye." And they kind of panicked a wee bit, and they went, "Where's Eileen, my sister?" His girlfriend, and I was like, she's visiting she's in Aaron, and he was just kind of going, "Fuck." He was kind of shocked, but it was as if I was there to tell him,
to move on.
Kind of, so it's just weird as fuck. But then I woke up again, like, holy fuck, that was real as fuck. It was just so real. It's just Jesus Christ. Was that? Did that help him?
Aye, but again, that's
maybe it could just be my imagination. I don't know.
No. I don't think it is, mate, because it's again that you can only get to these places through meditation.
Aye,
taking something to get you there.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? So that's what it is. Just an out of body experience, man.
That was mad. You had any like that, Chris? No, Chris isn't on the camera now. Okay.
Not really that I can think of. I have heard some, like my dad. We're going to have my dad on as a guest.
Aye.
So I don't want to sort of.
Has he had a few?
He's been for. Remember I was telling you about David Sai, his friend that does kind of yoga
right
type
he's done
stuff.
some deep shit with that.
Again, if you hurry up and read this book, we'll get.
One,
So my dad went to David. I don't want to sort of go in too much to the story because I want him to tell it.
Aye. Because plus you're on the camera as well. So
Aye, but just for the sake of telling it, a wee bit of it as a review for the next one. He did some. David Sai does.
you could put a picture
sort
up
of,
of you at this bit, right?
Just my mouth.
Just your mouth going. Aye.
David Sai does sort of revealing breathing type work, which I think stems from like ancient Tibetan type stuff.
It's similar to like Wim Hof kind of stuff.
They're the kings of that, the Tibetan monks.
Aye, that kind of stuff. And he's taken my dad through like sessions of that, and he's had some sort of probably out of body and experiences and figured out about himself in past lives.
Shit.
And then to the point where he sort of knows a few of these characters from his past lives.
Aye.
And there's an example of him knowing one of them, has described it to his wife, my stepmom.
Aye.
And at one point, sort of my stepmom woke up one night and felt a presence in the bedroom and described it to my dad after, and it matched exactly this kind of thing. It was like standing over my dad in his bed while he was asleep and she saw this. So
That creepy bastard.
I've had stuff like that as well.
Aye.
Out of body things, like the first time I'd heard about that was my mum. My mum used to get them a lot.
Aye.
And her pal was my mum's best pal. She died 1985 Christmas Day. She had cancer, and she was getting out of body experiences all the time.
Well, before she died.
Aye. Obviously. No,
she began huddles in the
No. But near-death experiences it was. Near-death experiences it was. So even back then I was right into it. I used to collect these books. I can't remember what they're called. It was this series of books that came out, and it was a different topic. It was like ghosty stuff, and one of the books was about near-death experiences. So I loved all that.
That's fascinating.
And then it happened to me a couple of times. And the first time, it was a Sunday. I was still staying with my mum and dad at the time. I was lying on my bed, and it can happen just like when you're dead relaxed and least expecting it. But I was lying on my bed, and I must have been dozing off asleep, but I came up. I felt myself come up and I turned around and I was still lying down, and I floated. And see like that way, like if you blow a balloon up and you let it go, that's what I done. I just floated right away. And it's mad. Like I've been getting this thing happening to me and all. My mum died 3 years ago.
Alright, sorry about that.
Sorry, mate. And she what do you call it? Sleep paralysis. Right. I used to get that a lot, man. And I didn't have it in ages and ages and ages. And I was staying with my pal last year. I was homeless at the time, so I was doing a bit of sofa surfing. So I was sleeping on his couch, and I could feel it coming on, and I was starting to panic. And it was like, usually it's always like I feel like I'm facing one way, and I can't move, I can't scream, I'm trying to say stuff, but I can see other angles of what's coming towards me, even though I'm facing this way. And it was my ma walking towards me with her horns out, and I'm trying to shout mum, and I can't, and she's getting closer and closer and closer, and then I just came out it, and then you're terrified to go back to sleep. That happened then, and then me and my pal who was staying with, I was DJing at a rave in Newcastle. It's called Kidstock's, a big outdoor thing, but we were going to that every year, and we ended up getting a wee hotel room, and it happened in the hotel room and all. My pal had like a bed, and I had a bed, and I was facing the window, and my ma was coming towards me again. It's mental, mate. It's freaky.
It's scary. I had a wee bit like that. My mum died as well, like years ago, 20 odd years ago. And I was going through, like, I feeling a bit low at the time. Just remember lying in my bed, and I think it was, I don't know what it was like. I was just feeling, we all go through kind of a bit of lowness.
Aye.
And I remember I woke up, I thought I was awake, that in between waking and sleeping kind of thing, and her, like, in my room, and her and my granny, who died 10 years before my mum, right, were floating above my bed. They were just coming in, like, as if they were just checking up on me. As if kind of going, I just felt the presence was there. Like, you'll be all right, you daft cunt. Although they didn't say that, I just felt as if I seen them. It was just like a few seconds they seen me, and then they went, as if they went, oh shit, you seen us.
Fucked off. You're a spiritual guy, mate. All these things happen for a reason. Do you know what I mean? You're obviously open.
I'm actually up the other day watching this podcast while I'm doing this.
Can you film it? Because that camera's broken.
That's what it's like. Like, people are obviously sceptical, right?
Aye.
People just don't believe in it at all. And then you'll have things that, see, like my dad, right? My dad is a funny cunt. He's a bullshitter. He's always up for a laugh.
You've always got your videos, your
dad. Aye. He's 100%.
Have a good laugh in the pub, your dad.
Aye. He's 100% up for a laugh. But when he's been serious about something, you know he's no bullshitting.
Aye.
And I used to, even when I was younger, like, Dad, tell me stories. Oh, see that way.
You have that voice for your younger.
Aye, that's the way I spoke. Exactly like that.
Back to the dead days.
Tell us a story, Dad, about ghosts or something, right? No, but do you believe in ghosts? No, but so I used to ask everybody thinks shit like that, right? So I was just pure into it. But I was asking my dad, have you ever seen a ghost? Have you ever felt something? And him and my mum used to be always, right? So my dad told me,
what were they like?
I'm going to do this a whole. I'm just going to act on this, right? Fucking. So just before I was born, again, Dave Flatshie picked me up at.
Aye.
My dad said the first thing that ever.
See you up at the dike and all.
the first thing that ever kind of happened to him, or they ever felt something, was this. That my mum and dad were in the living room, and my dad got up off the couch and tried to open up the door and go into the hall, and he felt this presence, and then he felt something holding him and no letting him out, letting him out the door, and he shat it. Like they couldn't sleep in that house for like fucking. They stayed with my granny for like fucking 2 months after that.
Did your mum feel like no then?
Aye, my mum was like, "What the fuck's going on here?"
Aye.
And
she felt the presence as well.
She felt the presence, and it freaked my dad out. Now there used to be this guy. I can't remember the guy's name, but it was a clairvoyant. He was a mind reader, and he was a spiritualist before him. But he was a dead famous cunt, but he disappeared off the face of the earth. Nobody knew what happened to him. And he stayed in this big fucking mad mansion thing. Anyway, my mum and dad went to him for a reading, right? And they said they went, and it was like these. It was mental. The way they were telling me, like there was these 2 big fucking Dobermans at the door.
Fuck's sake.
And they would.
Sounds like buying drugs and come along, Chris.
There was these 2 big Dobermans, and when you went in, they took you. They just go in and they took you to this cunt's room. But like, I believe them. I believe them because my dad just didn't joke about shit like this. Like it was dead serious. But anyway, my mum was going in for a reading, and my dad was sitting outside, and my mum, and because my mum was always into all that, my mum always went to spiritualists and all that stuff. But she just wanted to like speak to like her pals that had died and all that stuff. But my mum went in, and the guy was saying to her, I can't read you. There's something no right. There's something stopping me. Getting
paid my 20 quid.
It's mad that, right? It's like there's something stopping me from being able to read you or whatever.
Right.
And then the guy opened up the door and told me what to go out. And then the guy came out and he pointed at my dad and said, "It's you. It's because you."
Aye.
So my mum went away again, shiting it. And then I think like fucking 6 months later or something, it was a bit. I'd love to know the guy's name. Maybe if you Google it, it'll come up. But this guy just disappeared.
Is he Scottish?
It was Scottish, aye. I don't even know where it was, but this guy, and it was this big house that he had, but the guy just fucking disappeared off the face of the earth. I don't know what happened, but it's all these wee mad stories that I used to love. And
it's fascinating.
My gran as well.
I know there is people out there that could do cold reading and take the piss out of you, but
I know, like, see, that's another thing, because it's been proven that people can do that. It's like body language and that stuff. But even my gran was a heavy spiritual person. She died.
For everybody's deed.
I know, sorry, it's getting a bit. That's the story of my life, man. Everybody's deed, man.
Is it Drew McAdam?
Could be. I don't know. I can't remember the guy's name, but
he's actually in the
but
room.
he's
actually Drew McAdam.
He's in the room. You what? We'll do a fucking seance, right? Let's do it. Where's the Ouija board? No. So, but my gran.
How do you make a Ouija board? Take his buck fast.
There we go.
An old classic.
My gran was dead spiritual, and people used to go to my gran for readings. Aye. And my gran used to like read people's tea leaves and all that stuff, and she told them all sorts of shit that came true and all that.
Aye. That's mad, isn't it? It's like.
Aye. But I think when you're open to things like this.
Aye. See, I'm still get like I believe it, but I've also got a bit of skepticism in it as well.
So you're saying people being open to it. So as you're talking about all these experiences, be it sort of out of body or sort of supernatural type things, I've personally never had anything like that happen to me. And I sort of, not saying I want it to, but I want to experience.
You want to experience it.
I've heard like these stories for all sorts of people. Some people, the type of people that make up a bit of bullshit, but as you say, like when you say you can tell your dad's talking. But like there's other people that I know.
It happened to
like my girlfriend Ainsley, she's got stories like when she was wee, she lived in a mad farmhouse and used to have like a wee best pal that nobody else could see.
A wee imaginary pal and that.
And like parents would just be like, "Oh, I way to play," and she'd be like, "I'm away to play with Abby Wilson, my good friend."
And then you find out that a wee lassie called Abby Wilson died.
No, not even that. We had a. So she would describe her like even when I think it's when she must have been about 3 or 4.
Yeah,
she was like, "Yeah, Abby Wilson. She's got like curly ginger hair and she wears wee red ribbons every day and her like pigtails or whatever." And me and Ainsley met primary school, first day of primary school, and also in that class, first day of primary school, Ainsley sat next to a wee ginger, curly haired girl, red ribbons, and her name was Abby Wilson. And she'd been talking to this girl for years before.
So that's like a kind of maybe a premonition.
Aye, that kind of thing.
So that was her pal before she met her.
Aye, but even see, like when I was talking about my gran there, she didn't come out the house much, right?
Aye,
but there was
you locked her in.
Aye, she would only it was like birthdays or special occasions. But I remember it was my 18th birthday, and me and all my pals were in my room bevying on the decks. All my family and all that were in the living room and all that. And I went to see my gran, and she all night she was just sitting, looking into the hall, just looking. And now my dad's dad died when my dad's 65, and his dad died when he was 6, right?
Right.
So a long time ago, and my ma was saying to my gran, "What's wrong with you?" And she's like, because she's like, "No, I'm just looking out there." And, what is it? And she's like, "It's just Ian. He's just out there, foot on the boot with things, talking about my grandpa."
Aye.
But my ma always kind of felt a presence in the house. So did I, right? But
you were that age, aye?
Aye, when I was that age, and I think when I was about 19 or 20, this thing happened to me, and it fucking freaked me out. And I ended up staying in every fucking room. It was a 3-bedroom, and I ended up staying in every one.
Snob.
No. It's a fucking close, right? It's in a scheme, but it was like a wee box room at the back. That's the first room I had, and then we swapped rooms with my brother, and then ended up swapping rooms with my ma and all, because I don't know what it was, but I just always felt
there's something there.
Something, and then this thing started happening to me, and it was like the sleep paralysis thing where I couldn't move, and I would be lying on my bed and I'd open my eyes up and there was this old man lying right next to me, looking into my eyes.
Wow.
Right? And I couldn't move, I couldn't say anything. And when I woke up, I was like shouting it to go back to sleep and even scared to say anything to my mom. Wow. So it kept happening, right? Now,
you were about 18 at the time?
18, 19, right? Now, my cousin Paul, hadn't seen him in years and years and years, and he ended up moving into Whitlaburn, into my area, where he picked me up and he had a house. Now, he was in my living room one day, and I walked in, him and my mum having a conversation, And
in my head, he walked in, you having your mom.
Aye,
Sorry.
yeah, you didn't mind it, right? So they were taught. I know it's a comedy podcast, but it's the happy medium
like
between
this.
scary and comedy, right?
I like this.
So basically, they were talking, and I was like, "What he's talking about?" And my cousin Paul was saying to my mom that something's been happening to him every now and again, where he's lying in bed and he looks up and there's an old man stoning at the bottom of his bed, right?
Ah, shit.
Now, Paul didn't really know who this was or what it was, and my grandpa was called John, but some people called him Ian,
Right.
right?
That was a weird thing, aye.
Right.
John and Ian was
Right.
a similar name, innit?
So my mum's like, well, what did they say it in? And then my cousin Paul said, he just says, don't worry about it, everything's going to be all right.
Aye.
And he said his name was Ian and he's watching us,
Aye.
right? And my cousin's like, well, who the fuck's Ian? And my mum said, that's your grandpa. And she's
Aye.
like, I can feel him in here.
Aye.
And I walked in, I'm like, well, this has been happening to me.
Aye, year for years, aye.
This is fucking, and I'm like, no, I'm too scared. I'm just too weird. Nobody's got to believe me.
Aye,
Do you know
aye,
what I mean? But that is, I do believe in it all.
Aye.
And as I said, like, if it, as I'm telling the story, that's what happened.
Aye.
And I can feel it and I can see it. And it's just all these wee things that.
Well, you hear so many stories.
It's mental, but I think that's what I'm trying to say about it. It's like when you're open to these things, and then that's the other thing, when people aren't open to it, then something will happen to them, like that, right?
Aye,
No,
well,
I believe.
I've probably used to be a bit more sceptical towards this kind of stuff. Like, heard stories and I'd be like, aye, very good.
Aye, it's just your
I
imagination,
always sort
mate.
of said, like, I'll believe it when I see it type thing.
Aye.
But now I still haven't seen any of them, but just more stories from more kind of
Aye,
trustworthy
aye.
sources. And as I say, I'm more open to that kind of stuff. I've never been religious in any sense.
Aye.
As I say, my dad's over his life got a lot into more spiritual
Aye.
type stuff, but then my sort of mum's side of the family are a lot more scientific, logical
aye.
thinking type thing, and I
Yeah.
probably grew up with a bit more of that side of it.
Aye.
Aye.
See,
And then
I would always say, like, I'm never religious. I'm not. What's the other one? So I'm agnostic in the middle. So I see all these things. I've had all these stories and I've seen things. But
I used to always just be like, no, atheist, can't prove it, no real science and whatever.
I'm not 100% atheist, 100%.
But
so I'm in the middle.
aye, agnostic, I would say. Hopeful agnostic.
Aye.
There's
So I believe
also
there is stuff, but I'm not. I couldn't tell you it's 100%
Aye.
true.
there's things as well that I can't explain either that's happened to me, right?
Trigonometry and that.
I can't count, right? I can add up, I can sometimes take away, but fucking don't ask me to subtract
Multiplication.
anything, right? But there
You can
is
take away, but you can't subtract.
no, I can't
Divide.
See, I've just went to sleep in maths, right? But so there's things I can't explain that are so fucking vivid in my mind. Now, my other gran who stayed in a big old pre-war house,
Aye.
right? A big fucking, you go in, it's got a kitchen, it's got a dining room, a living room, you got up the stair, there's 3 rooms and then a loft. And now, I used to stay with my gran quite a lot back in the day. Me and my brother would go down to stay with my gran at the weekends. And my gran and grandpa were older. And
What did you like?
what? No, they were like
My granny was older than me.
no. You know what I mean? They were like
Oldest
they
family.
were an old couple, right?
Aye.
But they loved us having us down to stay. Now, in that house, a lot of shit had happened. Like fucking my mom's granny and my mom's auntie had died. There was a wee room up the back that I could no go into because I fucking felt
Something.
like a piercing presence. And sometimes, like the wee room that we used to stay in, that was getting decorated some or whatever. We just couldn't sleep in there that night because it was full of stuff. But sometimes we'd have to go into the back room. Now, I'm not kidding on when I say this. See, when I went in to sleep in there, I pulled the covers on my head and I was fucking petrified,
Aye.
like, to the point where you're taking a fucking panic attack or something.
Aye.
All night, sweating, like full scale fear,
Aye.
right? Because I know there's fucking something in here. There's a presence, and I used to get it all the time. Now, when I stayed, and I didn't say it. And I'm talking about back to when I was like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9
Aye.
or 10. We would sit in my granny's living room. Me and my brother, there'd be a film on the telly. It'd be a Saturday night,
Aye.
and I would hod the toilet in.
Because you didn't want to go.
No, I would hod the fucking toilet in because I didn't want to go up the stair. right? Because I knew there was something up there, right? Now, one Christmas, and this is the thing that I can't explain, and I don't know if it happened or if it didn't happen, but in my mind, it was real when it happened. And I used to ask my mom, I used to ask my dad, like, what are you fucking talking about, right? So it was like Christmas time. You know that way, a family Christmas party, there's people in every room. It's like a fucking American Pie party, there's people everywhere. And as the night's going on, people are starting to get home, And I think I had my mum and dad were too drunk to take me home or something. They went to a party, so I stayed with my gran and grandpa. But I remember sitting at the bottom of the stairs and 3 of these things were walking down the stair. It was, now I might get cancelled again. But it was like, the way I describe it and the way I see it in my mind, it was like 3 people with sheets on, with big eyes cut out, but with a
cones.
Almost looked like that. But in my mind, right, I wasn't sleeping as I can remember, but I was at the bottom of the stairs lying down and I could see them coming down. I was getting feared. Now I always asked my mom, like, did anybody do that? Did anybody come like, put sheets on or whatever? And I was like, no, like, they wouldn't fucking scare you like that. That's a thing that I always think about, and I can't explain it.
So did they go away eventually? Did you kind of
it was like they were coming for me, and I think I ran away.
Right.
But it's one of these things where, honestly, like, and do you want to know another thing I know? Like, I've not been in that house. My gran died like fucking 6-7 years ago. And the house gets sold. But everything about that house, I always end up having a dream, I always end up sometimes in there, and even in the dream I can feel this presence, and I just want to wake up. And my brother felt it, I know.
Fucking hell.
And like, it's just that, as I said, like, a good few people died up in that back room, and I don't know if it just felt like a horrible, scary. Like, honestly, man, I can fucking feel it when I'm talking about it now. But it was all these things. It's an energy. Obviously, it's an energy, but it's mad.
Nice.
Scary.
I think we're going to need to leave it there and get you back for a part 2. I think because I've got.
Didn't even talk about my gigs or anything, man.
I know, we didn't even get to comedy.
You can.
Sorry.
Because we've not done an episode on spooky stuff,
Supernatural
stuff. So, but that was good, man. We could get him back. How long is that we've done, Chris?
Nearly 2 hours.
Is that nearly 2 hours?
What?
I thought of that.
Fucking hell.
So we'll finish there.
No. And I want to talk about aliens next time.
Aliens, but that was interesting, man. I could. It's one of the things you could talk about that for hours.
Well, that's different to what I've spoken about before. So
we'll get you back and we'll make sure we've got like a full day and even come into more parts or whatever.
When will this episode go out?
This week, Thursday.
Next week. Thursday, so caught up.
If you're watching this if you've watched this and you enjoyed it, come and see me. I don't talk about scary shit on stage. Come and see me at the Glasgow International Comedy Festival, the 30th of March. I think there's like 10 tickets left. So
where are you on again?
Tenants Bar.
30th.
I'm doing the 29th. That's sold out, and then the 30th at 6 p.m. on a Saturday. Come to that. I want that sold out. So just and follow me on Facebook, Mikey Collins, Mikey Emotion on Instagram, and just all the shit. And if you're asleep at night, you can maybe meet him in the ether. I'll be there. I know. We'll have a wee float about. We'll have a wee float. Well, that was good. So cheers. Enjoyed that.
That's been episode 10. Chris will put his face in when his back comes up. Sure. You just put a photograph in because and if you want to remember my workshop, my gigs 23rd of March and
Sleazy's.
Nice and Sleazy's, and the 28th in Blackfriars.
Also as well, if you're watching this because of me and you know me, go and see OBIE as well. He's brilliant. Go to OBIE's gigs.
Thanks, man. But so that's been episode 10. That was fun. And I've got the drop Mikey off back to shoots again, and I'm shouting myself to go near that bike.
Let's leave it
there. Gets you.
But thanks for listening. Cheers guys. And live messages. Remember, if you want a silent episode,
fuck off.
I want to do 2 hours. We'll do half 1 hour of silence. We'll get the best. We'll get Billy Connolly. We'll just do fuck all. Just sit there. Right, but thank you. Episode 10. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.